You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. Well, you never caught a rabbit, you ain't no friend of mine. Oh, they said you were high class, that was just a lie. They said you was high class, that was just a lie. Well, you never caught a rabbit, you ain't no friend of mine. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. Well, you never caught a rabbit, you ain't no friend of mine. Well, you never caught a rabbit, you ain't no friend of mine. Hey, how you doing out there, guitar heroes? All right, we got a little Elvis Presley today, one of his earliest hits, Hound Dog. Now, this wasn't written by Elvis. Lieber Stroller, the guys that wrote tons of songs for the guys that who were popular in the late 50s and into the 60s as well. The good thing about this song is basically we've got 3 chords. It's kind of a typical blues progression. Sometimes they call it the 12-bar blues. It kind of depends on how many bars you're actually playing. We're going to start out in a C. And then we're going to add a C7 when we get to the end of the line by laying our little pinky down. And we've got an F7 bar chord. And so remember, this is our E form. We're going to bring it up 1 to get an F, and then I'm going to lift this 3rd finger so I can get an F7. Okay, and the other chord we've got is a G7, so exactly the same thing as the F bar, a 7-bar chord. Slide it up to the 3rd fret. And that's what we got, just those 4 chords. Now the song is fairly simple from a structure perspective. We've got this, I guess you can call it a chorus, you ain't nothing but a hound dog. And then we have a second verse, which I guess this is all there is. You know, when they said you were high class. So those are the only 2 groups of lyrics. And so as I played here in this kind of little demo, so to speak, I just played this chorus line, which I think it's a chorus. I guess you could probably say it's the first verse. Then the second verse, and then I played the first verse again. And then if you listen to the song, what you'll hear is then you're going to have Scotty Moore do that fabulous guitar solo. Then the first verse is repeated again. Then Scotty Moore comes in for another guitar solo, and then the 2 verses are repeated again. So it really is an actually pretty long song for being 1956. But you know, it's really a great song by Elvis, and it's a good one really to kind of develop your you know, your 3 chord structure. And in this case we got bar chords, and there's a tons of songs that are in this key of C is basically what we're in. It's the C, F, and G, and Mustang Sally and Kansas City, and there's probably some other ones I'm missing, but there's a whole bunch of songs in this key. So let's kind of go through it a little bit slower. So there really isn't any intro perspective. He really just starts out singing, and you know, you can hit a C if you want at the beginning. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, or you can just start. Now it kind of helps a little bit for the singing to hit that to start out with, because then you kind of know where you're at. All right, so the key to singing is always I'm there. That's where I'm going to start. You ain't nothing but a hound, C, crying all the time. Now we're going to lay down our little finger to get that C7. You ain't nothing but, and then F7, crying all the time. Back to C. Well, you G7, never caught a rabbit in you. Ain't no friend of mine. Back to C. And you can kind of throw that 7th in there anytime that you think it sounds good. I think Scotty Moore's playing like I think he's playing these ninth chords. They got that kind of a sound to it. But I think that the seventh is probably good to get started with that and understand that well before you went any further. And of course, this is a rhythm and a singing lesson, not really one for, for playing the lead on. That's another whole ball game. If you're interested in that, there's plenty of other information about that lead guitar. Okay, so that's it's kind of the same thing then. Now, one of the things that I always do is I'm always doing a little bit of this palm muting to give it some rhythm. So I'm dragging my palm, and you kind of have to do this by feel to kind of make sure that you get the sound quite right. See, if I take all the pressure off and I just lay my fingers on the C, that's what I get. If I press it, so I'm kind of using the combination of the strum, on, off, on. So when I hit that downstroke, generally speaking, if I hit the downstroke, I'm going to be pressing down, and then on the upstroke, I could be off it, and that's how you get this. Now the other thing I do is I rotate this finger on and off this A string, second from the top. And remember, because we got a C, we're going to lay our thumb on top of that big E string. We don't want that big E string to be in there. So that's kind of a good way to to get away from a real plain sounding strum. Use a little. And now this takes a little while, right? This doesn't take you 2 months. If you get it in 2 months, hey, more power to you. But that's what you're shooting for. It's that kind of a rhythm to get going. So let's go through the second verse, and you can kind of see it's the same thing. When they said you was C, high class, that was just a lie. C7 now? Well, let me start with a C. When you said you was high class, that was just a lie. Now C7. When they said you was A7, F7, high class, that was just a lie. Well, you G7, never called a remedy. F7 ain't no friend of mine. And I just ended it by repeating that last line when I went to repeat the first verse, and then I just repeated the last line. Well, you never called a remedy. Ain't no friend of mine. Now, if you've never seen the video when Elvis does this, he's on a TV show, or at least the one that I remember. They have a hound dog sitting on a pedestal, and he acts like he's singing to the hound dog. So it's really funny. Now, when you think about the lyrics here, what do they sound like? And it seems to me that, and I don't know if this is the original artist, but I want to say like Big Mama Thornton or somebody like that was somebody who sang this in the 50s. As well, and then obviously Elvis as a young man is thinking, "Ooh, I'm digging that." So that's where this whole thing comes from. All right, well, so there you go, a fairly simple 3-chord song. Yeah, there's some rhythm and some energy you can put into the vocals, which really makes it a good little song. But simple enough. A key of C, a key that you have to know. These chords, C, G, and F. And I like the bar chords better than playing the open chords. And the F I play bar chord just about most of the time anyway. But once you're already in a G bar chord to the 7th, then that's just a simple slide. You don't have to change your finger. So that's why I kind of like this kind of a pattern, and it's the same way that I'll do Mustang Sally and Kansas City and maybe some other ones too. So there you go. Hope you got something out of this lesson. Take it easy. Keep on strumming out there.